Hello, everyone. Top of the noon hour to you. I am Rosalind Booker, Rosby, as Rosby, Principal Broker, CEO of Arbrook Realty, and Executive Director of Arbrook Cares. It's a nonprofit. We link arms and shoulders with the community, making sure that renters become homeowners. Welcome to our NAREB, our North Texas division of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And we advocate for homeownership and helping bridge that gap. We are fighting for democracy and housing for minorities. Yes. We are, again, the North Texas chapter. We'd like to give a shout out to our president, Laura Washington, for allowing us to be here every second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday, high noon Central Standard Time, high noon for an hour of power. And we're educating, we're empowering our communities to do just that, bridge the gap. We have a wonderful guest speaker. She is definitely not a stranger to many of us that have been in the real estate industry for years, but we're going to introduce her more formally in just a moment. But I'm going to punt it to Chris Ziegler, who's a board member, as well as myself, as well as Rhonda. She's going to be back in just a minute. Have Chris introduce himself. Chris?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Ziegler with the Ziegler Agency Allstate, located in Frisco, Texas, serving the DFW Metroplex and the whole state of Texas. And just happy to be on here today and have Miss Barbara join. Barbara, I'm gonna give you a new nickname because your initials are BAM.
Yeah,
Damn. I love it, Chris.
I'm excited to be on here today as usual and looking forward to hearing the information that Barbara's going to have for us. And of course, as usual, if you actually have any questions when it comes to home ownership and what you can do in the process of getting your home insurance, definitely reach out to me from that standpoint. You know, I do other things as well, financial products, auto insurance, and renters insurance. So I do the whole gamut. In fact, when people think about home ownership, they think about home insurance, but your whole gamut makes a difference too, because you want to protect all your financial assets, because if something goes right in one area, it could affect another. And then, like, one of your biggest assets outside of your family is going to probably be your home. So definitely reach out to me at 214-870-4269. And I believe in education and consultation. So it doesn't hurt to give me a call. It's a free call. Now, you talk too long, we have to discuss a few things, but no, just kidding. But if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to give me a call so I can assist you. Like I tell people, whether you go with me or not, I just want to make sure that you're educated wherever you go. And I'm going to punt it over to Rhonda. She's back with us again. Go ahead, Rhonda.
I had a little technical difficulty, but I rebounded well, didn't I?
Yes, you
did. I'm gone. But listen, I am Rhonda Hutchison, and I'm known as the Lone Lioness, and I'm a residential mortgage lender, and I'm powered by Paramount Residential Mortgage, and I do everything lending. And what I'm passionate about is bridging the gap between renters and homeowners, being able to collaborate with these fine people like Roz and Chris and Barbara, just to be able to be a part of that generational wealth, that part of that whole puzzle, as they would say. But excited about our show on today, Ms. Barbara. Like I told you, when I heard that you were going to come and be our special guest, I said, let me get I got my pen, I got my paper, and I'm ready to learn. So I'm excited about being here. But if you have any questions about residential mortgage, what you need to do to purchase now or in the future, give me a call at 214-856-3747.
That's awesome. Chris, go ahead and pray us in. And I would like to do a really red carpet introduction for Ms. Barbara.
All right. Let's close our eyes. Heavenly Father, we first and foremost thank you for all the blessings you bestow upon us, dear God, on a daily basis. We just thank you for the platform that we have, dear God, to serve the community, to uplift and to glorify you through your Son, Jesus Christ. Dear God, we thank you for the rain that we're getting, dear God, because we know it's needed to help your vegetation grow and just to help the ecosystem be more in balance as well from that standpoint, dear God. We ask that you watch over our family and friends and people we don't even know, dear God, to understand what your divine intervention is for our lives on a day-to-day basis and to order and guide our steps through your Son, Jesus Christ. We ask that you, dear God, heal anybody that's going through kind of illness or sickness. And dear God, anybody who might be going through their financial strife, dear God, knowing that they do have an end through you and not to ever worry or sweat, because we know you got our back at all times in everything we do. These are blessings we ask in your son's name. We pray, dear God, through your son Jesus Christ once again. Amen.
Amen. Now we'll pass the offering plate. No.
Yes. Amen, Pastor.
Boy, you're getting pretty good at those prayers, Chris. Awesome. Well, without further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others. Miss Barbara Ann Mitchell. Look, Barbara, look, there are really no words to describe her. I know in this generation, in this world, it's all microwave and we're doing business with computers and now and robots, but it's nothing like doing business with real people who have a real heart for people to really bridge that gap and see home ownership be a part of their dream and for it to come true. I'm talking about a woman whose heart is soft as cotton, but she's tough as nails. You ain't getting over on Barbara now. But when you talk about a woman whose heart is after community, and she really likes agents, she likes us, y'all. Yes, we've had the pleasure at Arbrook Realty to partner with Barbara. I mean, she's stayed after hours. She's opened up her model, for us to come in and partner with them to help our mutual clients. And Barbara, I just want to say thank you. I know you are tremendously busy. You're trying to cram 36 hours worth of to-dos into 24, and a caretaker, a manager, a leader, anybody who, y'all almost spoken tongues. Anyway,
Go ahead.
Go, girl. Do your thing.
anybody, not real, anybody that can maintain a number one status, not only locally in your region, but nationally, and do all that you do and carry the weight, honey, we need to really be paying you to be here today. So without further ado, I just want to
We're going to pay them with love.
introduce Miss Barbara Ann Mitchell, who is a sales manager for one of the number one companies in the nation, home builders. And we're talking about today the state of the new construction industry, where we are. Now, many of us have been here a while and we've seen the ups and downs. And, for the past 5 years, I would say at least we have been double digit ROI for market value increase. And, the builders have jumped on the bandwagon with that. And, we've seen, I never thought I would see this in my 26 years. Even some of the builders start the bidding war with, auctions and, what do you call them? Lotteries.
Yeah, so, lottery draws.
Yes.
Different times, different seasons. But you know what? What goes up must what?
Come down.
Let's come down.
Absolutely.
And, as a real estate professional, boots on the ground, I am an owner operator. Like, I'm hustling. I'm out there in the street. I'm in it to win it. And so I have seen a transition, Barbara. I've seen for the first time in the last, I'd say 3 years, the brakes kind of be put on prices. Seeing some things come down. Can't say that we're crashing. We're in Texas, right? People still won't go to work. You know what I'm saying? And there's enough jobs. So I'm going to give you the floor and we're going to lead in with some questions. What are you seeing? And whatever you want to talk about concerning, the questions we have asked before, please feel free to just share. What is happening? What's going on?
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. First of all, I was trying to check to see who that was you were talking about. With the introduction, I was like, oh my gosh, who is she talking about? Is this Barbara Ann? But yes, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I'm always appreciative to when I have an opportunity to come before leaders like yourselves. And if it were not for you guys, then we wouldn't be where I wouldn't be, let me say it like that, where I am today. So, because when I came into this business with D.R. Horton over 14 years ago, I was with a prior company called Ryland Homes, and the opportunity just wasn't there as it is with D.R. Horton. So I just want to thank for first and foremost the company for allowing me to be a part of the company, and I do feel like it's a family. Because if it wasn't, I don't know if I would have been around as long as I've been around. And again, with partnership with realtors like you guys, your loan officers and real estate, insurance people, we couldn't do it without you guys. So we appreciate you. Although, we know we have D.R. Horton as a one package, but, we still have to go outside of that package oftentimes, and we do. And so when we do that, we go to professionals like yourselves. So I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So first and foremost, I would say just a little under 20 years, Roz. You're a little bit ahead of me, but in the 14 years that I've been with D.R. Horton, and coming in back in 2008, that was when 2007, 2008, when the market did the flip and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But even in Texas, even during that time frame, coming in as a new salesperson, God was still able to allow me to be in a 6-figure income. So Texas is still, even though the other parts of the country, you'll see things going on, but Texas is still the number one. And we're also blessed to be here in Texas, because when Vegas and California and all those other states were just barely being able to sell a home, we were rocking and rolling here, even during the one of the worst times. Because I asked God, I said, why you put me in this business in the worst time of, when it comes in. So one of the questions I was asked was, do we see that happening again that's coming right now that we saw in 2008 and 27, 2008? All of us wish we had crystal balls in the front of us where we could foresee everything, right? But we don't. So based on what you've been seeing in 2019, just before the pandemic hit, well, I started packing up my little desk, thought I was going to go home and have me a little vacation. It was just the opposite. If I tell you, God knows what he's doing.
Yes, indeed.
People, they were just coming. And the fruits of your labor of people that you've worked with previously, they're sending people to you. So I said too, and I trained quite a few people during that time frame just before that. If you didn't come to work, if you didn't make money, you didn't come to work, because the opportunities were there.
Yeah. Barbara, let me interject and ask you a question. Where, we did, what was February 2020, where, many of us thought, hey, it's over. What are we going to do? And the market blinked, and then it went shoom. So when people began to come in by the droves, what were some of their reasons for buying? Were they fearful? Obviously not, but what were some of their personal comments as to why they wanted to move right then?
Well, a lot of it was too, is that D.R. Horton never closed its doors. A lot of other builders during that time when pandemic hit, they closed their doors, right? They took appointments only. They did appointments by Zoom calls. They did appointments by, things like that. Well, we kept our doors open cautiously and carefully with the mask, the gloves, the spray. I was spraying and wiping every day. But people were coming in because when all of that happened, the interest rates did that. They just dropped, right? So you could literally buy more house than you could several years ago and paying more for it. So, prices started to do this. Well, for the first 6 to 7 months, we didn't see a lot of that, but then the shortages started happening and then prices started going up, but the rates were still down. So people were coming in from either smaller homes, they were going to bigger homes, family sizes were changing, relocation in the market, relocating from different areas, all of the stuff that was going on in California, the fires, all of that stuff. People were selling there, coming here, buying 2 and 3 homes. And then the opportunity that our governor was sharing with all of the companies, giving them free money to move here. Tesla and not Tesla, I'm sorry, Toyota started it with 5,000 people bringing here, and it just kept coming. You could go on to Google and see the companies that were moving from other states here. Why was all that happening? A lot of it is that because of the free money that they were getting to bring their folks here. So that was a lot of it. And then just relocating, upsizing, right sizing. So D.R. Horton went into product levels, like I call it, from a Corolla to a Lexus. We went from Express to Emerald. So we were able to accommodate every family and their size and what their situations were.
Now, Barbara, I have a question for you. You
Yes.
know, with all these supply chain issues that you just mentioned a few minutes ago, I saw some of these companies saying, "Hey, we're not going to be building two-story houses anymore because of the price of lumber and things like that." Did D.R. Horton get affected by that? Did y'all change your schematics on how you're going to be building houses? Or did you kind of was it business as usual?
Absolutely. We had to move with what the market was doing.
Uh-huh.
So at one point there was product issues that you couldn't get. At one point
Right.
we couldn't get AC units, we couldn't get tile, we couldn't get
Right.
sheetrock, we couldn't get, oh Lord Jesus, the brick issue. Lord
Yeah,
have mercy.
brick.
We were moving brick from North Carolina, South Carolina, where we could get it from, we were doing it. And because we are the larger, we had more buying power, more clout that we could spread around than some of the other builders could. So they were limited, but we were trucking right on along, and we were doing whatever we needed to do to make it happen. We even actually at one point drove to Louisiana to get some AC condensers so that
Wow.
we can get people in their homes and get them closed. So we had to move with what the market was doing.
Mhm.
So as prices went up, we tried to do things around, and that's when it just the floodgate opened and everybody was coming, and the wonderful lottery process started.
Yeah, the
Um,
wonderful lottery.
I mean, I was probably the third or the fourth community that did one. I only had 30 homes to share with 30 families, but I had over 180 people show up.
Wow.
Goodness
It was amazing.
gracious. Are
Yes.
you able to share the variance of what you guys started out in terms of a bid price for some of those homes and what it actually sold for?
Well, the prices were going to be whatever we set the pricing for, and D.R. Horton has always been this builder. We never did a escalation clause in our contracts where if price went up after you contracted, you had to pay that. We never did that. So we had to take a stance to say, okay, when do we start selling? Because as I've been in this business, whenever we open up a community, they said, okay, here, go sell. Well, we had to look at that a different way and say, well, we can start selling homes at a certain stage. So we didn't, or were not able to sell homes until we actually had a foundation on the ground. Once we had that foundation on the ground, exactly, we were, and that's why we sold in moderation of numbers of so many homes that we could sell. So we would sell 30, we get those sold, we get that going. Then we would come back and sell 20 or 30 more, but the prices already increased. We were locking in at those prices. So as we locked in, we sold. And as we were able to do that, of course, prices went up. So from the first 30 to the next 30, price went up. We were able to make our profits or margins, as you might want to say, while we were doing that. And other builders were not able to do that. So some of them put in these escalation clauses that said, well, if the price goes up, we're going to have to come back to you, Mr. Customer, and say we need more money. Well, because we didn't do that, we saw a lot of more customers coming to us. With that being said, along with other things, that was just one of the things that I saw. And with realtors as well, they would call me and say, "Hey, Ms. Barbara, y'all doing an escalation clause thing?" No, we're not, and we didn't have to because we were able to spread it around and sell so many homes, and then escalate, then sell so many, then escalate. And then as things stabilized, we began to stabilize. So we had to move with the market.
Barbara, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Ron.
And you just let me know what your personal thoughts. And I know that in this market that the sales of homes have increased. There's no if ands about that. And D.R. Horton has always been that builder that were for I want to say more of the affordable housing until the price of the home starting to go up. And now I know you had to move with the market. Do D.R. Horton or do you see that ever coming back when we have, and I don't think we'd ever go back in the 200s, but maybe be, 275, even 299. I don't see that. But do you think that more communities will be geared towards more of the affordable housing? Maybe now, since the market is kind of leveling out just a little bit. I didn't say it's where it once was, but
absolutely.
Yeah,
and we all know that it probably never will get back to there. So that's part of the concept that D.R. Horton have in being able to sell affordable homes, and that's why we have different stage of homes.
Right, right.
I kind of allude to, again, I go to the car because it relates to, a lot of people can relate a Corolla to a Lexus and all the ones in between. So our housing product is the same way with D.R. Horton. So we bought a product called Express. We own that brand. And then now we have another brand that's going to kind of be in between Express and the product that I sell, which is the D.R. Horton product. But under that D.R. Horton label, we also have about 6 different tiers under that D.R. Horton label.
Okay.
So now, of course, you got to think about area and the market that you're selling to.
Right, right.
And of course, the income base that, that's in that market. So right now, if you go to Cleveland, you can get a house under $300,000.
Yeah.
So I have
Wow. Yeah. That's
so
the truth.
you will see it, and even in my community, because I have 2 products, you're seeing some of the prices is coming down some, and it's going to probably come to a point where it stabilizes. We've seen that happen, and we've seen it do this, and we've seen it do that. So none of us, again, like I said, if we had that crystal ball, we would be able to tell. But with what we're seeing right now, with the rates went up. And not only that, other things was going on, guys. It wasn't just the rates.
Yeah.
It was food, gas, clothing. It was everything that hit the consumer at one time that put the brakes on, right? So when that happened, we had to be proactively and reactively ready to adhere to that. So what we're doing in the interim, we're still building. We're not stopping. As I said.
So you guys are still building.
Absolutely, we're still building.
So you're doing new starts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
As I said, earlier we were kind of talking. We not only now have 2 divisions, we have 3 divisions in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So we have an East Division, we have a Fort Worth Division, and we have a Central Division. I'm sorry, East, West, and Central Division. So with that being said, we've opened up that Central Division. So there's 2 or 3 new communities already there. In our
where's the Central Division? Where's the East, West, and Central? What's it covering?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The Central is kind of odd. So I-35 separates East from West. I-35E, not W. Separates East from West. And then you go on the other side of 20. That's part of back of in the McKinney, Prosper, all those areas is East. And then from where I am, right at Glen Heights, which is on this side of west side of 35, I start the West Division.
Gotcha. Okay.
So West, I go, Grand Prairie, Arlington, Mansfield, all of those areas, Crowley, Cleveland, and then, in the White Settlement area in those quarters. And on the other side of that is where the Central Division is starting. So we don't have a lot there yet, but it's getting ready to take off just like other areas.
That's great.
We that I know of have probably about 6 or 7 more communities coming online this year.
Wow.
One of them where Barbara Mitchell might be is right here in Cedar Hill.
Wow, okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Cedar Hill loading.
We have not stopped. We are continuously going to, as my manager said, we're trying to take over the world. But we're definitely still building. So in that, we still have to move with what the market is doing, and come to adhere to that. So even in my community, I've seen some of my product drop a little bit under 20,000, so that, when the rates went up, we have to do something. What do you do as a business? I mean, you're still doing business. So you still got to figure out what do you need to do to capture more business. So that's where we go back to the table and look at, and they talk to us as sales folks. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What's going on? And they take those things and go back to the table and say, okay, we're here. We give you some more tools, go sell. So right now, we just came off of an awesome promotion where we were doing additional closing costs. Sorry, Ms. Rhonda.
That's all right. I didn't win up against you before.
We were doing additional closing as well.
Look, I ain't scared.
And you shouldn't be, because it's enough out there for everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody's
You
in
know I'm just
business
playing
for a
with
reason.
you. You know I'm just playing.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah, so we did that, and then of course, right now we have dropped our interest rates, so buyers can actually come in up until December, and we can lock them in if their scores and their profile and everything fits. We can lock in at 3.99%.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you're gonna sit back in your chair, Ms. Rhonda. I mean, Ms.
You know
Ron.
what? And I don't know if you really can answer that, but and this is me. I'm an advocate for my buyers.
Yes, ma'am.
If there's a product out there that's going to put you and your family in a position to purchase a home, and you may have started with me, I'm going to give you all my blessings. Say, okay, what I need to help, because at the end of the day, my job and my passion is to make sure you get into a home. So it
Exactly.
ain't about the money. Do I need the money? Yes, but it's more important than that.
And,
So I'm
and that's what
okay
I
with that.
love about everyone that does this for the consumer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
when you do it for them, you're going to get more.
It
God is going
comes
to make a
back.
way for others to come, and they keep coming, and they keep coming, they keep coming, they
Comes
keep coming.
back.
So even with during the pandemic and during the time right now, customers that you served 8, 9, 10 years ago, they're going to come back to you because of the service that you provided. So at one point, we were being order takers. I couldn't stand it. I didn't
Right.
like it. We were just sitting taking orders. Now we're
Do you
back
mean the waiting list, Barbara?
waiting list, and you didn't have to really do anything. All you do is show up at work, and customers were coming in.
Oh, okay.
Well, now we're going back to serving, which
Service.
is what we
Mm.
used to do. So that's what I'm seeing now. It's more of that. And with you guys as realtors, you guys are able to advocate for your customers. You're able to come in and say, Miss Barbara, can you do? Now, of course, we're only going to be able to do so much because everybody's still in business for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do, as much as we can to make sure that everyone is protected. And I always tell my realtor partners, you guys, I'm in the middle. So don't put me in a position where I have to go and stay with the client when we get them in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So we are definitely looking at everyone that's concerned. Our realtor partners, we love you guys. We never went below 3%, where some other builders went down to 0. Some
Mm-hmm.
others went down to 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Some just, I mean, it was just,
Did
but
us
we never
dirty.
wavered.
Did us
We never,
dirty.
we stayed there. So that's one of the things too that keeps you guys bringing customers back to us. We want to be
Now,
able to serve.
I hadn't seen this in so long because most of, I want to say 2021, most of 2022 until recently, like a couple of months ago, Barbara, I'm seeing appliance packages and I'm hearing about bonuses, realtor bonuses. Are we back in?
Absolutely.
I would
Yes,
say they never
Yes,
ma'am.
stopped.
we are. And we have been. We knew it was going to change.
Uh-huh.
Everything, Roz, you said it. I mean, you said it earlier. Everything that goes up must come down. Now,
Mm-hmm.
how fast it go up and how fast it come down, none of us can control that.
Really no. Right.
So, and we really don't know. But yes, we are. Like I said, we just came off of a great promotion where we were doing 6% realtor commission.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We did additional 5,000 in closing costs, so a buyer was able to get 11 grand in closing costs. Then, of course, Mr. Horton has always done what we call it a Main Street Star. Your educators, your firefighters, your medical profession, your military, all get an additional $1,000 in closing costs. Well, we do that regardless of what lender you work with.
Mm-hmm.
We do that no matter what. And of course, we have our own title company, so we're going to cover title policy as well. And we do that no matter what lender you work with. So there are still some things that we can do. And then there's, loyalty where customers are loyal. Am I always going to share what we can do? And then the customer make that decision. It's entirely up to them. We're not going to force them to do anything. Now, because we had so many people coming in, all of the protocols for all builders said, hey, we still need to do a application with us so that we can make sure that you are a credible buyer. So when we take this home off the market, we're not waiting until the 9th hour and find out you're not approvable.
Right. Right.
Right.
So we put in place where, whether it was Dear Horton, whether it was Miss Rhonda, whoever it was, we needed a credit approved buyer within 30 business days. Well, 30 days, let me say it like that. And it's part of the contract now. So we have to adhere to that. And if we don't have the buyer credit approved within that 30 days, then we have to go back and make some decisions and say, hey, if you're not credit approved, let's try D.O. Horton. If you can't do it through D.O. Horton, then we will have to release you from the contract because you're not approvable.
Mm.
And we want our external customers to do the same thing. We want you to make sure that you have an approved buyer. So when we get that home completed, your buyer can move in. And we're not
Now,
sitting, waiting, and scrambling.
I have something to ask. Now, earnestly, I have had a few buyers, Miss Barbara, that
Mhm.
goodness, our preferred lender outside of
Mhm.
DHI or DR Horton's
Mhm.
mortgage company work relentless with credit repair, getting them done. And I will say, for the most part, most builders have such a hard sell to almost want to grab that client. And I understand your company's policy procedures, and that's probably the right thing to do because you don't want to be stuck with a house.
Mhm.
But when obviously another lender can do better than Horton, maybe it's not often, maybe it's slim chance, but on the occasions when the lender can do better,
Mhm.
even when one lender who has worked their jelly may not comply with your lender's repertoire or their bucket of what they have to work with. And I know the assumption is one lender should be able to do what another does, but the truth is that's not always the case. What do
Absolutely.
y'all do in that case? Do you tell a buyer uh, who has some challenges, who have been really legitimately approved with another lender, but just because your lender doesn't see it that way, will you still move forward with their approval?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Um, and Deal Horton's position too is that we know we can't do every loan. I don't know any lender out there that can do every loan every single solitary time. Where there may be a situation where Rhonda can get them approved and we cannot. We're not going to try to force them to go with DHI. We're going to leave them with Rhonda. The only thing is that we don't give the incentive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and I've had this probably was the biggest year where I had a lot of more external lenders that I worked with of customers that I closed than I did with DHI because
Wow.
my capture with DHI is usually anywhere from 80 to 90%. Well,
Wow.
this year it dropped below that. So we will work with the lender.
Why is
D-
that?
DHI will also say, hey, we can't do this loan, but another lender can.
Mhm.
So if the buyer's already pre-qual and they came in, we're gonna go right back to the lender that they pre-qualified with. It's just we know we can't do everything. There was different scenarios, different challenges, different things that we could do, we can't do. And that's just Miss Rhonda could probably speak more to that as far as every lender has certain packages and certain programs and that they can do that
Mhm.
some of the others cannot.
Yeah,
So,
and I agree. I agree, and it's also the lenders, the overlay. I don't know how DHI works when it comes to overlays. Some lenders have
mhm,
additional overlays that maybe can prohibit a borrower from moving forward or pre-approved versus another lender that may not have those overlays as a higher credit score or something of that nature. And then also, and I have to attest, it's also your passion because, and I'm guilty of this, some lenders will say, it's not an easy file, let me move on. I'm not going
mhm,
to see what I need to do to make this happen. Like
right.
me, you laying down and you get up in the middle of the night because you think of something that may work. And everybody's not like that. So sometimes that a buyer can get approved with an alternate lender when another lender, just like maybe a DHI, that maybe just didn't go that. I'm not saying that you don't go that extra mile, maybe just didn't think of those things that may get them through to the other side. So.
Right. And again, I will say, and like I said, I've been with, and I have a partner. We can't do them all. We
Mhm.
cannot do every loan. And again, we're not going to force you. What they're wanting to see is if we can do it, we would like to do it.
Mhm.
If we're not going to be able to do it, and my partner that I work with, and most of our partners that we work with the salesperson and the loan officer, let me know up front if you're not going to be able to do it so that we can have
Right.
plan B. And
Mhm.
that's what we do. Because, I'm always going to have a plan A, plan B, and if necessary, I may have to have a plan C. I'll go that route as well. And we'll go to partners that we've worked with before and say, hey, here's a scenario, here's a situation. Are you going to be able to do it? But sometimes we'll say, yes, we can be able to do it. But until you dive into that profile, you don't know what you're going to see or what's going to come up.
Come up.
And that happens with DHI. It happens with every lender out there.
Right, correct.
Because I can write a conditional letter and says, hey, yes, your credentials, until I see all of the documents and that underwriter looks at that file and says, yes, it's a go, it's a not a go. Had a situation where we have a lot of nurses now that are doing the traveling nurse.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now you have to have at least 2 years history of that.
Wow.
Well, I had a lender that got it done and it wasn't 2-year history. So it's different things, and it's going to depend on the profile of that lender.
Yeah, because in that instance, I could have done if they were traveling nurse as long as they had prior nursing experience.
Yeah.
And so it all depends on
Right.
the lender and how much nursing experience they had before going to the traveling nurse position.
Right. And kind of think of it from this perspective as well. D.R. Horton is nationally traded. We're on the stock market. We have a lot of eyes, ears, listening, looking.
Yes.
There's going to be some profiles that we're not going to be able to do. Period. There's sometimes where a situation I had with a buyer, not to put anybody's business out there, where they answered a question inappropriately or inaccurately. And then if you go and do another whole new profile, it's entirely different. So it's different things that will cause that to happen.
Absolutely.
And then credit score.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Credit score is another one of those things that, we look at as well too. So some lenders can't go below 600, some can't go below 500, some 580. I don't know about go 500 right now, but 580. So now, everybody changed when the market changes. So at one point we couldn't do a 580, we couldn't do a 600, we couldn't do a 620, we were at 640. Well, we could do them. It just depends on what else had to be done. And the customer had to understand that, yes, we can do it, but know that your profile mandates that you have to do some other things in order to be able to get that loan done. You may have to have more savings in the bank. You may have, it's just different things that you have to have done. So absolutely. You were going to ask a question, Mr. Chris?
I was going to ask you too about, the insurance. We always lost son and the daughter in the process. And I know you guys have your stuff in the house, but when do y'all really start talking to your customers about the insurance portion of the home buying process with D.R. Horton?
Well, Mr. Chris, I'm guilty. I'll talk about it at the very beginning.
Well, that's a good thing.
So when I do my presentation with a customer, when they're coming in, we talk about, and of course, the bottom line is where are you comfortable with your mortgage payment? What insurance you're using, what company you're using, all of those things are going to come into play when we determine what that payment is going to look like. So Chris, your insurance on a home may be $1,200 a year. Mine may be $1,500 a year. Guess who we're going to go with? We're going to go with Chris because that lowers that payment. If the buyer is payment conscious, sometimes buyer not payment conscious, they're just loyal.
Right.
And we get that, and that's fine. So we do offer it. It's part of the package, and of course they can save a little bit more. But if they decide not to do it, again, we're not forcing a buyer to do anything that they're not comfortable with.
As you say that, you're gonna be my poster child for that, because I talk to most people, whether be realtors more. Now these ladies are good about it. You're good about it as well, but so many people wait to the very end to try to discuss about the insurance scenario, and then they scramble. In fact, kind of I had a situation kind of like that the other day.
Oh my God!
Okay. And like I told you, I'm very customer centric. I was actually working out. I told my girl Roz,
Chris was gonna have to bail me out.
That's all I'm working out, but we got to square it away. But that's just the thing. People don't think it. And I'm an advocate about having an agent and talking to somebody face to face, because people go online and there's different companies, and then they either miss out on discounts or they try to do it themselves, and then they screw something up, and then they scramble at the end trying to get everything fixed. And that's why I'm a big advocate, just in the industry, especially insurance for sure, but in these industries, mortgage, realty, I know people like to go online and try to, be their own realtor, stuff like that. But I say, you need to get you a person who's certified, who's licensed to do that, because, I said, don't say $5 to lose $5,000. That's what I say. People don't say a few dollars. The same thing with insurance,
Exactly.
Dealt with somebody today. I don't think I got a call on earlier, Like I said, I was just joking, but Rhonda's good about this, but some mortgage companies don't understand what the dynamics of what they're doing, And I had to explain to the lady, that's not right what you're doing. It's not for the best for the customer. Plus, you're asking for something that's not necessary. You're trying to get this person overinsured for something they don't, and we're only going to cover so much anyway, you know. And then she finally just broke down. I really wasn't sure. That's all I was told to do. And you run into people, unlike you ladies, who know all the the parameters of what needs to be done. Some people just do it just because. I just want to applaud y'all for what y'all do.
It's education. I mean, you have to educate everybody in every area. But when we were so busy and like I said, taking orders, some of that got lost by the wayside. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not it was with everybody.
Everybody.
It was with insurance companies. It was with loan companies. It was with salespeople. It was everybody. But now that we're coming back into an era where we actually have to sit down and service customers, those things is a great in the conversation that comes up. So I do it in a couple of different ways. I do it initially, and then after we're doing our paperwork and our contract, I have a separate package put together, and I have that information in there, and I make sure we do what we used to call it 10 commandments, but now that's not legal anymore, so we have to call it do's and don'ts. So within that do's and don'ts, and within a certain time frame, here's your time level. Ms. Rhonda, I think you have one as well too. It's called a time. You do this, you do this, you do this,
absolutely,
within a certain time frame. So we try to keep that. We have to keep it, especially if I'm building a home for a buyer. Everything that we talked about 4 months ago is gone by the wayside. We have to come back and remind and go back over that again. So now what I try to do is within halfway mark, we go back over that same stuff that we went over in the beginning. And within 30 days, you have to have your insurance chosen.
Well, overall, and I always, have my ears listening, my eyes open in this industry, because, there does come a time where what we knew to do even 2 weeks ago, 1 month ago, has swiftly changed. And there's an economist out there, and credible economists, that really feel that new construction is dead. Like that builders are not building anymore. And you've clearly said that's not you guys. Now, maybe you've made some adjustments. Or is it fair to say that you've taken a look and made some adjustments that may have been scaled back over what you've done last year, Barbara? Are you able to share that? Or
well, of course, when an economy is booming and moving fast and going everything, you're going to move with it, right? So we couldn't get homes built fast enough during that time, right? Because of product delay, product shortages, labor delays, labor shortages, all of those things come into play. And kind of remember we talked about Texas itself is entirely different than other parts of the country.
Yeah, we're a whole world by itself.
We're a whole world by itself. So just a little bit of conversation of the meeting that our managers just came off of. There's still a lot of areas hurting right now. However, Texas is not hurting right now. I've been able to, even in a community where I've had more cancellations than I would love to have, still able to meet my goals. The company is looking at different ways. How do you accomplish that? What do we do in order to be able to accomplish those goals? So in the Texas area, I will say, yes, slowed down, but no, ma'am, never stopped.
No, ma'am.
It's not stopping. Like I said, we've got several communities coming on in just our little West division. Just kind of think about, you've got now 3 divisions in the company that's going to be bringing on board. Our construction manager, bless his Lord, he says he don't even sleep. I'm sorry, our land manager. He says he don't even sleep because we need more. We need more.
And you probably alluded to that earlier too, what she was saying, all these companies are still moving here. That's the reason we see so much growth here. I mean, in insurance, we haven't seen it slow down. We get on some of these national calls sometimes with talking about insurance, stuff like that. Texas is growing for the insurance agents. I mean, because some people think, well, man, y'all got so many Allstate agents in a particular area. It's a lot of us, but a lot of us are still having double-digit growth, from that standpoint. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, too. When you see some of these companies, like when Starbucks were shutting down stores in different parts of the country, when stuff is shutting down, people are like, what are they talking about shutting down? They still have on stuff here, but you got areas like Salina, Prosper, people moving out to Cleveland, Forney, these different areas. and stuff that you used to see out there. You see in the Starbucks, all these different restaurants open up here. They're closing around the country, but stuff, instead they know this is a money market.
Absolutely.
I will say this, and I want to address a few comments and questions that are coming from TikTok. Yes.
Okay.
I just want to say this. We are in a very interesting time because the math for real estate and what we're seeing here in Texas, again, this is Texas, it doesn't add up. I mean, if we're really looking at it, yeah, inflation has risen, interest rates have risen, sales, as in number of sales, is still up, prices have dipped a little, inventory is still historically low. That's a strange formula right there.
It is, and there's no way for, I don't think, the best economists or the foreseers, all of the people that put these numbers together and everything, until it actually stabilizes and you see I say that you can get to Houston two different ways. You can go 45 and you can go a different way. So different ways of getting to the same area, the same means, you're going to have to look at what do we need to do in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
So D.R. Horton has always been an inventory builder, right? So that's what we're considered. We've always built more homes than other builders. We've always had more inventory on the ground than other builders. So when you come in and you say, well, Miss Barbara, I need this, 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 and this. If I don't have it in my area, where's your buyer willing to go? Because we have inventory available right now.
Yeah.
Where like in my community, I probably have 8. I'm on a closeout. In another community that's close to me in Grand Prairie, Arlington, Mansfield, in those areas, we have quite a few more. But there's a like with the FHA limit is at 450, 800, I think, Ms. Rhonda. So if you go over that price range, then your buyer has to either go conventional or VA in order to be able to capitalize that, unless they have the money to pay the difference between 450 and 480. Right. So with the slowdown of the growth coming from other states, we're not seeing as much of that happening right now. So the buyers, or most home buyers, are looking for that budget price under 400.
Yeah.
Well, that's where D.R. Horton comes in, because we have that product.
You're answering a problem continuously.
Exactly. And that's where we're going to continue to be in that market where we can service everybody. Your first time buyer, your second time buyer, your buyer that's ready to settle down and retire. So we have a product for every level, for everybody.
There's a listener on TikTok. Her name is Divine One. She has been in the mortgage industry, Rhonda, and her observation, number one, is that new construction in Illinois, in her opinion, has come to a pause. So that area has been impacted. And she said also they are seeing an increase in escrow fees from title companies. Is there any consensus to that? I know we don't pay attention to that as much.
Right.
I don't know what the reason for that would be.
Well, Roz, I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you said earlier too. You were talking about here, it's not such a big anomaly in the Metroplex, because like I tell people, the reason we're so successful in the DFW area, we're not predicated on one industry. Some areas, like I guess when you get in the Houston area, it's kind of changed down there to a certain extent too. Because you got your factories here, you got technology, you just got all the entrepreneur. You got so many different industries that people here is not predicated on one industry. That's what kind of pigeonholes a lot of areas around the country, and even here in Texas, pigeonholed to this one particular industry. Another thing that I'm noticing too, I'm signing up customers who come in, like Barbara said earlier, they coming in from other areas. Like she said, got the money. They say they came here. Do you have a job lined up? Do you have this lined up? No. I made so much money for my house in, New York or Florida or California. And they said, I think it's an opportunity here for me to come in here and do some things. And they don't even have a job, but they made so much money off their home in California or wherever they came from that they have enough to kind of sustain themselves for a while, to where they just think it's an opportunity here to try to do some things. And some of them actually even start their own businesses here, and everything, which I've actually written business insurance for people who worked here. They couldn't find a job. Kind of saw, as people say, a niche in the market, the area that we have here, and they created something for themselves that was going to be a financial allocation to help them grow financially and start their own business. So people would just come here because, people used to say back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that migration to the north, like they said, the South should rise again. Good for a good reason, and for us as well.
Okay.
And there's that sign that says now gone to Texas. It's no longer gone to California. It's gone to Texas.
Exactly. But I mean, it's a big
And that's
migration
true.
from all parts of the country here to the South, especially the DFW portion of Texas as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing something totally different. Um, we are still working like a hound dog and a cat. I'm talking about real estate professionals. However,
And
in
loan
that
officers.
in that lower tier, we're talking between that $300,000 to $400,000 price range. I'm seeing more success rates in getting people under contract. And I know this doesn't have anything to do with new construction. That's a new industry there. But there are questions as to, wow, is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to buy? And I'm gonna always play that music for you, not because I'm hard selling anyone. If it's your time to make home ownership your family's right and to realize that, it's always the time. We purchased when interest rates were 8%, and we spent 2 to 3 points to buy down to something like 7.75. And of course, income was much lower. But I'm just talking about, we just can't look at one factor. I mean, we were happy to get in at 7.75, whatever that rate was. So, there are a lot of people that are still concerned in the higher price ranges. I'm seeing 5, 10%, even 15% come down from list price. I didn't say that list price was fair to begin with, but we are seeing
normalizing.
Normalizing correction.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
And Roz, that does speak to the rates, and when the rates started doing what they're doing, it put the brakes on for a lot of people because our economy wasn't used to it. And as you said, when I came in this business, I remember 12% interest rate. I mean, I don't know if you remember way back when, Roz, when it was even 16%. I wasn't in the industry.
One of my brokers, I think Mr. Carter, he remembers those days. Exactly.
So what we have to do is educate. And once the market starts to turn again and people begin to understand and see that, it's not going to fall just like that. It's not going to happen overnight. And you got to look at, okay, if you have a 6% interest rate and you have a $400,000 home, what does that look like if you do a 3% interest rate with a $600,000 home? It's pretty much the same thing. Well, those numbers may not match up, but if you look at it from that standpoint, it's just that number. It is driving people. Oh no, I'm putting brakes on. It's not a time to do it. So if you do the comparison of numbers, and I sat down with a customer the other day, and he looked at me and said, "Well, why am I not signing the contract?" I said, well, because you just didn't know what the information was. It wasn't in the front of you. So when we put that information in the front of them and do it, and whatever it is writing it down, you got to write it down because, we only absorb 6%. So once we're over that 6% level, nothing else you say people don't hear. So writing it, let them write it, as a matter of fact, is the exercise that I do. Let them write it down. And then that way they get it.
And we're going to do our round robin here shortly. One other question, and I think Chris has a question for you. Barbara, what do you earnestly think about if people are buying at home prices today, and there is some further correction going on? How is your company prepared to handle the appraisals that do you feel that we're going to run into an appraisal issue? Or do you feel there was enough inventory that's oversold that will level off if you guys drop your prices?
Right now, we wouldn't have an appraisal issue on anything.
Okay.
Right. Because, I mean, again, you had the higher prices and people were buying at that price, no question, because rates were lower, homes were appraising. So now that homes are down a little bit, prices is down a little bit, those homes that we sold at the higher price, there's no appraisal issues. It really isn't. Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
No, I was just going to say, with that being said, that incorporated now VA. Probably we still may have some challenges, but we have a separate department now in D.O. Horton that handles all of that. So
Wow.
we've had to challenge. We've overturned some, and appraisers are like, "Wow, when did y'all start doing this?" But it's the information. It's information and knowing and sharing and having the information readily available, and we jump on it immediately. So we've not. I've not had any. So
Thank you.
Great
Quick
information.
question. Go ahead.
No, I'll just say great information. That's it. You
I
go.
was just curious now, Barbara, when it comes to investors, do you just sell to individuals or can an investor come to DR Horton and purchase a home? I'm just curious about that. I don't know. I'm trying to get educated. I'm an insurance guy, about a mortgage.
Okay. So Chris, yes, I mean, there's we're gonna work with everybody out there, right?
Okay.
Now, D.O. Horton's protocol and stance is that in a new community, we don't want to sell to investors, right?
Mhm.
Well, and once a community starts to close out and it's getting ready to close out, you got 2 or 3 homes left. You can't get those homes sold. Do you open those up to investors? Well, we do, but there's a list of things that those investors have to play by. They're going to pay more money up front. Their earnest money is going to be almost double or tripled. You can't put rent signs and things like that in the yard and the window for more than 2 years. So we try to protect our communities
Thank you.
as best as we possibly can. Now, with that being said, when the market was doing all of the busyness and going up so high and stuff, as Roz were talking about appraisals, it was hard to get appraisals. So we went to a different route and we did sell a little bit more to some investors because they were able to pay more and didn't actually have to have an appraisal because they were paying cash. So there's a lot of things that, as a business, we still have to do to make sure we maintain that community, because you going into a community and it's a brand new community, you don't want 15, 20,000, I'm sorry, 20,000, 15 or 20 homes in your community that has a rent sign in the front of it.
Exactly. That's what I was
So
wondering about.
we will sell to an investor, but it's on a specific, special case-by-case basis.
I take all of it back, Chris. I take all of it back. You did
That was curious because that's one thing that was hurting a lot of people too. I didn't know how it was with new construction. I know with other homes that were out there on the market, you had these people, which I wrote some. I didn't do anything for new construction I can remember, but like existing homes, I had people coming in and buying these houses. I know that applies to new construction or not, but I had people who that was hurting the market as well. They were coming in and just pulling all these homes up and just taking it away from people. I won't say taking it away, but they had the financial resources and some of the stuff that were on the market. They were coming and snatching these homes up. But I know a lot of these HOAs have actually changed or are still changing their rules too about people doing Airbnbs and rentals as well. Now, so a lot of HOAs have made some changes on that also.
My HOA specifically states you cannot run an Airbnb.
Yeah.
It has to be a special, specific reason. Because we had one just recently where we just had to put them out of business. We had to shut them down.
Wow.
Person bought the home. They stayed in it for a couple of months and then turned it over to being an Airbnb. Well, you as a consumer that lives in that community, it's your HOA. Find out what your HOA allows and what it doesn't allow. Exactly. And ours clearly state we don't allow it. So, everybody, again, I just keep going back to everybody's in business and got to make money. And if they're doing it legitimate and legally, I'm all for it. But make sure you're doing it within the parameters of what has been put in the front of you.
Right.
Well, Miss Ross, get us cranking like round robin, baby.
Ooh, this has been good with a T on the end. Good.
Good.
Well, Miss Barbara Ann Mitchell, bam. Come on, y'all. Us three. Let's 1, 2, 3. Give us some bam. 1, 2, 3. Bam. Miss Bam, Barbara Ann Mitchell. We love you. Thank you for visiting with us and speaking such truth, enlightening us. And for those who come back and do the replay, I think they're going to be pleasurably surprised to hear the information that you have shared. It has definitely broadened our knowledge so that we can help our clients make informed decisions We're going to do our round robin. And Barbara, at the end, we want people to know how they can reach you and for you to do your short 30-second on your communities that may be coming up that you're in and what you have going on and any specials. Again, I'm Roz B, as Roz B. Rosalind Booker. I'm the principal broker, CEO of Arbrook Realty, and the director of Arbrook Cares. That's our 501(c). We want to partner with those alliances that want to come alongside and help us empower renters to become homeowners. You can reach me at 972-996-4702. That's 972-996-4702. Chris?
And my name is Chris Ziegler with the Ziegler Agency Allstate. And I'm the principal owner of the Ziegler Agency, and I'm powered by me. So,
well, your head just rolled off your shoulders down the floor, down the hallway.
I had to steal y'all little tag. I like when y'all say that. I had to steal your little taglines. I love it. But once again, I'm Chris Ziegler with the Ziegler Agency Allstate, serving the DFW Metroplex in the whole state of Texas. If you have any concerns or questions about anything regarding to insurance, give me a call at 214-870-4269. Go ahead, Linus.
Okay, and I'm Rhonda Hutchison. I'm the Loan Lioness, and I'm a residential mortgage lender, and I'm powered by Paramount Residential Mortgage Group. Give me a call if you have any questions in regards to lending, getting pre-approved. What do you need to do to get pre-approved? How can I prepare myself to be a homeowner? Give me a call at 214-856-3747. Ms. Barbara?
Okay, now y'all expect me to do that same thing y'all just did.
No, you
got it down.
That was just so good. Y'all got it down pat. So I'm Barbara Ann Mitchell. I am a community sales manager with D.R. Horton. I'm in the Magnolia Meadows community in Glen Heights right now, and I'm powered by D.R. Horton.
All right.
My new community or other communities that are coming up, guys, you know my concept. If I don't have it, I'll try to find it for you. Because D.R. Horton does have communities all over the DFW Metroplex. We have 3 different divisions now, East, West, and Central. If I can't house your home, if I can't find your buyer home, I will do my very best to try to find you one in other locations. We got one coming up in Cedar Hill, hopefully coming on board, coming online with the next couple of months, maybe sooner, in Cedar Hill. I'm Barbara Ann, 972.
Price range?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
So until I get all the information, I'll be just kind of connect with me. You guys are looking at me on my social media sites. I'll put the information out there as soon as I know. I'll put it out there. I've started doing some marketing already, but I'm not able to put it out there until we're closer.
Okay.
So, but you can reach me at 972-333-8445 at BMITCHELL @drhorton.com. Bam. I'm out.
No.
Bam. We out.
Love it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so very much for the
Thank you.
opportunity. Feel free to call me anytime, email me anytime. I'm here to help.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
I'm going to take you up on that now.
I know.
All right. Awesome. Sounds like it did. Because when I saw Ziegler, I thought it was Zig Ziglar.
That's his nephew. No.
Oh, is it? Gotcha. All right.
He thinks he's that wise. But anyway, yeah, that's all we have time for today. Come back here at NAREB's group page, our LinkedIn page, our YouTube. We have it all. We're there. And we want to thank Miss Laura Washington, our president of NAREB, for allowing us to be here to educate and empower you. Come back the second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of the month, high noon, 12 noon Central Standard Time. And look, for those of you who are members of NAREB, we want to hear from you. You have a voice, you have a product or service. Come and help us, partner with us, and get on here. And let's continue to lift people up as we climb. That's all. Again, we have time for. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Bye, Barbara. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. You're welcome.